Alright, YouTube. If anyone cares, who knows. But this is going to be a video because I thought I should do something more on here today than what I have because I really have not been producing any content. Well, that's not completely true. I mean, I'm better off or better now than I was. I've been really, hungover. I get sick a lot from drinking too much. And I either do that or I'm depressed. So, I have a choice of, either vomiting myself to death or fucking crying myself to death. So I guess I just choose vomiting. But um, nevertheless, regardless of all that, I guess this video is going to be a little bit more one purpose or one dimensional. But I did post a comment and I posted, I don't know, something somewhere else. I posted some stuff somewhere else recently, just a while ago, and I got me a drink just now because I do think, or I do believe I should make a video saying something because I know that if you don't keep content uploaded on the internet or you don't kind of update your shit on a daily basis, you know what I'm saying, then what happens is you fall out. It doesn't really affect you yet at first, but you'll start to fall out of habit of doing that. And that will affect you. And I went a long time there for a while where I would barely make any videos, maybe every few months. I think I went almost like a year one time without making any videos on this site. I did post some stuff some other places, but I was not posting very much on here. And like I said before, I just wanted to make a few videos on genital mutilation. That is something I really fucking hate and still do. Mainly of males, because that is what's legal in this country where I have to live, not that there is not female genital mutilation. I don't want to see that outlawed as well or in other countries, but right now, I have to kind of deal with what I'm living in or the shit that I'm in, as opposed to everyone else. But I wanted to do that, and then I realized I just wanted to make like a handful of videos and say some stuff, and then realized like, wow, I really do have more to say about this or more to say about that. And then I realized I had a lot more to say about other people, and some of my opinions and beliefs had changed as I got older, and shit that I had not said. And I just had a lot of shit to say about different issues, including and especially LGBTQ issues, and stuff affecting the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and I guess the genderqueer and or pretty much androgynous people. I think the last part of that androgynous is what I identify with more than anything else. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm androgynous. I'm certainly not transgender. But I do understand them, or I understand that mindset, and I do feel a lot like that. And when I was younger, I had a lot of this gender dysphoria problems and trying to look like a chick and that kind of thing. So I understand that. And again, this video is not very good. I'm sorry, my chest actually still kind of hurts from vomiting. And I've just been kind of laying around having a lot of hallucinating, seeing stuff walk across my room and then through walls and seeing maggots and bugs and hallucinating, Every once in a while my dog will check on me and, I've got some Alka-Seltzer in me. So I feel a little bit better, but I've just had a really bombed out day. It rained today, though it rains a lot where I live for some reason. It didn't used to, but it does now. It got really, really bad storm here, lightning and thunder. Didn't last that long compared to some of the place. Like it's flooded where I live. Like we live next to a river. It's like literally floods over to the point where we had to move our dog. We have like a little barn thing, and it like almost fucked that up. It was red. It was all the way up to the highway, pretty much where I live. So that happened. That was something else. But of course, I'm so sick. I don't give a fuck about that. Because I was, like I said, puking my guts out. But this is not about me. I went on too long about that. But rather, the point is, I really like, and I mean this seriously. And I want this to be about human rights activism. But first, I want to explain why, in some ways, why I'm not a human rights activist. But more important than that, why I identify with only a very small number of anyone. And that really is because I just do not understand this species or people. And one thing I do not like, or that I hate, is I hate genital mutilation or circumcision of children. I don't understand that. I certainly, and I mean, I don't think either should be legal, but I certainly don't understand, let alone both. But I certainly don't understand why you only do it to one gender. That makes it even more bizarre and confusing to me. So you only do it with one gender, and the entire thing is bizarre, and I don't really see what is not disturbing about this. And I mean, I've spent a lot of time just trying to figure that out. But there's that, and like sports. Let's be a little bit more. How shall I put this? A little bit more less dark. Let's just say that. The sporting events, sports is something that obviously I don't care about. If you want to watch them, that's fine. But I do not. That is fine. But I do not understand, or I don't understand whether why you go to or why you would go to. In some cases, first of all, you're just watching someone throw a fucking ball around, or whatever kind of sport you're into, whatever you like. And this is probably more of a male thing than a female thing, but it has become more of a female thing over the years, and they watch a lot of this shit. But I never have understood that. And of course, I support, like, for example, transgender people in the sporting industry or in sports, whether I think that's great. That's a huge part of our culture for whatever reason that I don't think any group, especially a group that's marginalized and as oppressed as transgender people, should be shut out of. And that is one little bit of a kind of like quality that they have gotten or that they are getting. And people are trying. You have people, and I'm not going to talk about the guy very much, but like Alex Jones, who tries to take that from them. And there are females who, in some cases, are supposed to be feminists, and even lesbians who are supposed to be very much for equality in the genders, and they're supposed to be for that. They're supposed to support LGBTQ issues. But then they're complaining about transgender people playing sports when, again, if you study that or you know anything about them, transgender people would have to play with a woman because they can't play against the men. So the only other option is they just don't play. Or if you did let them play against the men, that would be a bloodbath. I mean, they would absolutely get squashed, or they would be squashed by these guys who are way massively bigger than them, who are at a total advantage over them because they're taking estrogen and trying to keep testosterone out of their body, and they're smaller than in some cases some of these women are. And now you're going to have them or force them to try to play against a man. I mean, you're talking about a bloodbath. So that's wrong. And then that's wrong, and that's the worst option, but it's also wrong to not let them play sports. Especially, I mean, if they had to and they were willing to play as a man, I guess you should let them do that. Even though I think that would be a much bigger disaster than letting them play as some chicks. So that's horrible, and that's some bullshit, and that's kind of a man's issue, because either way, one way you're looking at somebody who is biologically male, whether they or me or anyone else, whether we like it or not, they're biologically male, and they're changing over the female, and then you do have female to male who are stronger and they're taking testosterone, they're really bulking up, and they want to play against the men. So it could be a female male issue, and then they're identifying as men now. They're male. They changed their gender to male, so they are still competing with men. If they want to kick some men's ass, I mean, that's their problem. That's okay. And if the transgender people want to play on equal footing or kind of equal footing, even though the females are probably going to be bigger than they are. But if they want to play against the females, that should be okay as well. But that's kind of my point. I went way too into that for way too long. And even Mario Lopez recently came out against transgender children. And the only way this would be okay if he knows anything about this, I'm not sure he understands this, and he did apologize, and that should be all that matters, is he said he was sorry. He's not still saying this dumb shit. But the point is whether that he spoke out against transgender children. And unless he's talking about actual sexual reassignment surgery, like if he's talking about children getting that, then I agree with him, because I don't think children should be able to do that. Now, if they want to start taking estrogen around the age of puberty or something like that, that might be fine. But certainly if you're talking about actual surgery being done for a child, just like I'm against circumcision, then I'm against that. And that is one thing I like about him that he was against, and he kept his kid from being cut. His wife wanted to do it in this case. In some cases, it's the wife that is actually against it. The father wants to do it for whatever crazy reason. In some cases, that is the opposite. But anyways, here, this is a situation, or rather, this is a case where he kept her from doing it. So I like him. I liked him. I don't know a lot about him, but from what I do know, I like him. He's supposedly, a good-looking guy. He's supposedly, a lot of girls like him, so that's great. Mario Lopez, he's very talented Hispanic actor, but he did come out against transgender children, and as far as I know, I don't agree with that. So it is very odd to me, the kind of things that you care about, like you care about what clothing your kids are wearing or what gender they identify as. I mean, like, what fucking possible difference does that make? I don't understand that, and that is largely an issue or a situation, rather, especially if you're not talking about transgender, but drag kids who are identifying, not only biologically are, but are still identifying as males and or male. Then in that case, because this affects them more than girls, because it can affect girls too, but more often than not, it affects whether the boy or the male, the man, whatever you want to call them, the kid and or teenager who wants to identify or at least look more like a girl and they like to dress as girls. And you don't want to let them do that. And I don't understand that. And you don't do that as much with the girls. I mean, you have a lot of different tomboys and girls who look like boys, and you kind of let them do that, but you won't let the girl do that. And I mean, you know, I saw recently, and I talked about this, or I told you about this, so I didn't say who it was because I didn't really think it mattered. But Cher, and this has been a few months ago, I already seen this, but she came out and said some really crazy shit about men. And that woman has lost her fucking mind. I'm sorry, but she has. And I don't think she was serious. I think she was joking, maybe just attention whoring for some reason. So, I mean, I'm sure she's already getting plenty of attention, so I don't really understand that. But it didn't look like she was totally serious. But unless she was being a parody of feminists, then I mean, it doesn't work as a parody. Like, it doesn't even work as a parody. And this is what I have said about a lot of Democrats, or at the very least the feminists, is that they have really forgotten how to almost totally forgotten how to parody, or like they don't make sense. And it's almost like they're trying to do what Trump does for some reason, where in many cases he will say something that's true and correct, and he's saying something that is right and I agree with, but not always. Sometimes he says something crazy and whatever else. The point is, rather, it's like they're trying to do their version of that, but it's like they just totally fuck it up because they don't understand what they're complaining about anymore, or why they're complaining. It's just like they're saying this ridiculous shit, I guess, to get votes, and part of that is because women are now the majority. There's more of us than males, so they want them to vote. But I mean, the shit they say doesn't make sense. And I'm not so much talking about, like, again, I'm not so much like talking about the Black Panther or Black Power, not necessarily Black Panther, because they have changed over the years, not the same group, but kind of the Black Power that really has now evolved into kind of the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm not so much talking about them. Like, I agree with them a lot more than I do the feminists. I think a lot of the feminists are just totally insane. But either way, regardless, whether the point is, Democrats will sometimes say something intelligent. Bernie Sanders does, or he does that rather. Even Elizabeth Warren will sometimes say something intelligent. I know that Alexandria Cortez, and I have put her, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, see, I got her middle name right. I'm sorry for not ever getting some of these people's names right. But he will sometimes say things that are true, or she rather will start to say things that are true. Even the Muslim girl, the Democrat, she'll say things that are true. They will say things in some cases that are, I think, intelligent, but a lot of the Democrats now just say completely ape shit, crazy shit, and that's what Cher said. And what really kind of got my attention or pissed me off was she said that because of the abortion law in Florida, well, like I said, they're also castrating sex offenders. Regardless of whether you believe in that or not, you could almost look at that as a men's rights issue. I'm not saying I do, but, you know, regardless, the point is, because of that, she said something about making circumcision mandatory, and like I wouldn't care about that if it wasn't something that already happened so much or so many times in this country. And she also said some other crazy shit about castrating not rapists or sex offenders. Because I know that to me that sounds crazy, but I know a lot of you wouldn't agree with that, and I understand what you're saying, kind of. But she said something about doing that, and she got not to them, but to some other group. It was this crazy trivial shit that was way too over the top, even for a feminist to say and be telling you her honest opinion. So she's joking in some way, or this is her version of the joke, rather. But getting on with the point, she said that. She said something about the death penalty, putting certain people to death. And again, I mean, she might have just said something more intelligent, not really intelligent, but something I could see some people believing and agreeing with. But most of what she said, I'm talking like 99% of this post she put out was absolutely crazy. And what I would like to know, rather, is I'm not saying they should, because I'm against that, or censorship rather of anyone. And I even came out of being against putting Antifa, who can be violent, by the way, on the federal watch list as a terrorist organization or group. I'm even against that, or I came out as being against that rather, even though I don't like them or support them. And I'm sure they would have no problem putting someone like me on the same watch list as being some kind of terrorist or subversive. Maybe I'm a subversive, or what's that other word, a malcontent, or some kind of dangerous person. I'm sure they would have no problem doing that to me. And the Democrats are now doing a lot of what the Republicans used to do back in, like, say, the 50s and 60s, when they were looking under every bed for communists and gay people. I mean, the Republicans used to do that. Now it's the Democrats doing that. But regardless, either way, the point is, regardless of whether I agree with them or not, I came out against that. I don't want to see anyone censored, but I have to ask, if Twitter and these other bullshit companies are going to do people like me this way, like they did me, for saying things they find to be subversive, then why the hell don't they do that to this woman who is just speaking totally out of her ass and is being crazy? I would love to understand that. Unless she is somehow kind of parodying the feminists in a certain roundabout way, and I've talked about that before. I've seen other people that they are people that say actually they weren't being serious. They were parroting something else, like male genital mutilation. They're actually trying to be against it, but they didn't want to come right out and say it. Like, I have heard that, but I have no fucking clue about some people who say some things about certain things. But beyond that, I also saw a commercial earlier, and I really have to speed this video up because, like I said, it's getting close to 20 minutes, and I don't know what happens with the video if it gets to 20 minutes or how that works for whatever reason. But rather, the point is, probably want to stop in a minute before I get there. Let me hurry up here. The point is, I also saw some other crazy bullshit commercial, and this was by God trying to sell a soap to guys, and they were selling a soap to men, and it's pretty much making fun of and attacking and insulting men. But then here's the real kicker, and they're joking, so I don't really care. But the point is, it's very confusing. I don't understand why this is the way. Rather, this is that is how we go about selling products to men. Because with women, it does seem to be the opposite. Because it is always this bullshit about, yeah, you're great, you know, you women out there, you're great, you're beautiful, all that. But you can buy this shit and you'll be even better. And then with the men, it's like, no, you suck. But if you buy this, you won't suck as much. And I mean, they're constantly doing that. And it's this consumerism. And I mean, that's true for everyone, but especially men. They have this consumeristic culture of just buying shit, buying bullshit. And or like, as George Carlin put it, buying shit, working jobs you don't want to buy shit you don't need. Working jobs you don't want to buy shit you don't need. And it's all very stupid behavior. And he goes on to talk about other stuff, but I'm not going to do his entire bit here. I need to get this over with. And again, that's his shit. So, you know, I'm not going to steal someone else's shit because obviously that would be stupid. But rather, regardless, the point is, it's really stupid behavior, and that is how they treat you if they're men. And like I said, that's true for everyone, but especially men. They want you to buy crap and consumerism and consumeristic. And I'm not saying that women don't have problems. Obviously, they do. They have the abortion issue or abortion problem in Alabama, those assholes, who, by the way, two of them were women. The one that introduced the law, whatever she did, she was some kind of lawyer or something. That was a woman. And then the woman that signed the damn bill was a fucking woman. That was the governor. And they're the same women that signed bills cutting off people's dicks if they have sex with whatever age group you say they can. Because again, if you're talking about children, I totally understand that, but our laws are not always the same in all places, and it's a bit odd. And I really just don't like the idea of torturing anyone, and that's one reason I'm getting circumcision, especially because you're doing that to kids or children in some cases without any anesthesia, and certainly not the proper kind. And they obviously have done nothing. They were just warned, you're just doing that because you seem to hate them, in my opinion. And we have a very anti-child culture, and we hate children, I think, in this country, but especially male children, female children too, but male children especially. That's one reason I think you're against the drag kid, transgender child phenomenon, because it's almost like you think that they should be this culture of oppression, this suppression towards men or males. But the point that I'm making is rather feminists do have some real issues, and I'm not saying I don't like all feminists. Like, I think Tori Amos is a feminist. I have nothing against her. There are smart or intelligent feminists. I'm just saying some of them are absolutely crazy and full of shit. Now, that one commercial I was talking about, that was a dude bro commercial. And it just seems like all commercials about men or towards men are very insulting and kind of vulgar. And they're always like, you suck and you need this. And, you know, women don't like you. And it's like they're constantly putting that ideal, that message out there. I really need to wrap this video up. But they say that, but then also they say this about people. They say shit like, there's also a commercial that was about, like, you know, to wash your balls better. And it's like, sure, that's a great message, but do you always have to, like, just kind of be like, again, you're an idiot, you suck, and you need our product? Because it's like everything you say about men is like that, and it's always very insulting. And when you insult any group like that, it's pretty obvious to me there is an agenda against them. So like I said, while I'm not a men's rights activist, I'm a humanist, and I believe in equality and supporting all humans, and I think it's kind of stupid to narrow your focus that way. And I'm getting past time here, but I need to, I think it is stupid to narrow your focus that way. But with that being said, I think that the men's rights activists do have a decent point, and a lot of what they say is good, intelligent, smart, decent shit. And I think that they make more sense than the feminists do. I honestly do, really. And maybe the 20-cent pay gap is real. It's wrong not to tell a woman that she can't have an abortion, to tell them that. I don't agree with that. And I'm not going to go into that, talking about that. I have talked about it before. If you want to know what kind of abortion I support, what kind of abortion I don't support, but it's way worse to be a man in this country, and that's just my opinion. So I understand, even though I'm a humanist, I understand male rights activists. P666.